Hello, my name is Elizabeth Dodge and I'm with Stock and Option Solutions. And today we're going to give a quick tutorial on how to use Sumifs with the ampersand. So this is something I discovered, I don't remember how long ago, maybe a year and a half ago, which everyone else had already known all their lives. But it's come in very handy for a number of reasons, and one of the reasons or places I use it the most is when I'm doing ESPP accounting in a spreadsheet, which is very painful, but some systems have limited ESPP accounting, and therefore we end up doing a lot of it in a spreadsheet. So the example I chose to demonstrate today was, I'm going to show you this. I'm going to show you the formula in here. There is a formula. Whoops, my formula didn't paste down. But basically the formula here, what I'm trying to do is, let's say I'm trying to calculate the 25K limit. And I need to know for this employee, how many shares have they already purchased this year? So how many shares of their 25K limit have they used up? So I'm going to use a Sumifs, and I'm going to use it sort of pointing to the same spreadsheet. It's almost like a running total, but it's a running total for a particular employee for purchase dates that were before the current purchase date. So I can see how many shares are available. And this is just a very simplified example, but I found it useful in these cases. So I'm doing a SUMIF, you can see, and I sum C for shares purchased. You can see the C up here. And then where the employee ID is equal to the employee ID, I just point it back at the same column. Employee ID is column A here. And then I say where B, and this is where the ampersand comes in, or column B where the purchase date, and then is less than, and then to compare it to the column that I want to compare it to, which is still B, pointing it back at itself again, I put an ampersand, and I can use the ampersand to point to a specific cell, or in this case to a whole column, to say I want you to sum for all the purchases earlier than this purchase for this year, less than purchase date. And then I also sum within the year. I've added a year function because, as most of us know, that 25K limit is per year, so we want to make sure that those shares were purchased in the same year. So that SUMIF function is simply using an ampersand to combine a qualifier, a less than or a greater than or an equal to, using the ampersand to combine the field we want to look up against and the field we want to look up to, basically. And that ampersand combines the work. So we can do that quickly. Let's see if I can do it as a demo. I'm going to say SUMIFs. And remember with SUMIFs, the first column that I point at is the one I want to sum. But you can add multiple criteria to a SUMIFs, because that's the ifs, multiple ifs. There used to be a function SUMIF, which still exists, but the syntax is different and you only had one criteria. So I recommend always using SUMIFs, even if you only have one criteria. It works just fine. So now I want to sum for the same participant ID. I've got multiple purchase records here. So I point it to the ID, and then I point it right back to the ID. And now I want to pay attention to that purchase date. Point to that, and now I'm going to do that less than, and I'm going to put that in quotes, and then I'm going to concatenate that or combine it with an ampersand right back to itself, right back to B, and then I want the purchase date to be the same also. And if you needed the purchase date to be a year before for the roll forward shares, you can actually do a DD -1. But in this case, we're just looking for the shares purchased earlier this year, and there we go. And the function didn't work because why would it work while I'm trying to do a demo? Less than. All right, stopping the recording.